What's up, guys? Welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding, and today is a chest workout starting out with the Dumbbell Press. And by the way, let me know in the comments below how many people already got some home equipment, because in some countries the gyms are opened already. In some countries it takes a while, and hopefully here in the Netherlands it won't take a long while anymore, but we will know very soon. But I do know that every single country is different. Anyway, this is the dumbbell press, and I'm showing you every single set right here, except for the first set, which wasn't recorded. But the first few sets, at least the first two sets, are always warm-up sets. So those are around 15 to 12 reps to make sure that I warm up the chest, the shoulders, and that I'm getting used to the movement. And then I'm simply going up with either 10 or 12 and a half kilograms every time I move up in a set. So I go heavier and heavier. And yes, I do realize that that is a lot of volume over the entire exercise. Some people who are very strong like to do only a few warm-up sets, and then when they go up in weight they do less and less reps. So for example, here I'm doing 10 reps, they will be doing only 4 reps or even 2 reps, and then do 2 or 4 reps every single set until they reach their heaviest set. But in my opinion and experience seeing other people do this method, you first of all have to be very knowledgeable and very experienced with bodybuilding in general, with weightlifting in general. But also, most of those people have joint issues or get some kind of injury. I've been training like this pretty much my whole training life for about 14 years now, and what it has brought me is no injuries at all. The only times that I get like a little impingement in the shoulder or the lower back is when I go way too heavy, too quickly. So I simply need to do a lot of sets, and every single set needs a lot of reps to properly warm up the muscle. And if I do this consistently every single time, the last set is what I look at as the working set, and I have to improve myself every single time I do that one. So for example, this one, the 70 kilogram one, is my first working set on this dumbbell press, and I do a number of reps on this, and then the next time I want to do one more rep, for example. Unfortunately, we don't have heavier dumbbells than 70 kilograms right now. I am trying to get 80 kilogram dumbbells, but if I had heavier dumbbells, I would have gone heavier already. And this is the second working set, and the second working set usually is with less weight, but more reps. That way you hit 2 different rep ranges on the same exercise, so that prevents you from leaving anything in the tank. Sometimes if you go way too heavy and you make a slight mistake with 1 rep, you immediately pretty much end the set there, or you end the set a few reps short of your maximum potential because it's simply so heavy. So then you do another working set with a lighter weight, so that you really fatigue those muscle fibers in that specific exercise. So that was the flat dumbbell press. And then we move on to the incline bench press on the Smith machine. And obviously, if you have a home gym, you want to do this with a regular bench, but put the bench on the slightest possible incline. So you just imagine this: you have a straight bench, and then you just put it up 1 notch. Just put it up the little smallest incline possible, so that you still hit a different angle, but you minimize the amount that the front delts are involved. Because normally, if you do an incline bench press on a fixed bench in the gym, the angle of that bench, in my opinion, is way too steep, and it targets the front delts a lot, which is the reason a lot of people actually have front delt pain to begin with, because a lot of those exercises you're unable to do on the right angle for your body. So you only have to put it up like 15 degrees instead of the 45 degrees that most incline benches are. And with that difference in angle, you can already hit the upper chest very nicely. As you can literally see here, you can see the entire chest from the bottom to the very top contract and stretch on this exercise. Now also on this incline Smith machine bench press, I like to do a working set. So this is going to be the heaviest set I'm going to do on this exercise, I believe. And whenever you want to do your heaviest set of an exercise, don't neglect the rest period in between. So when you know that you need to hit that final set and you have a number of reps in mind, just wait and rest as long as needed until you feel fully refreshed to do another set with full power, 100%. Because if you don't, you might be limited by oxygen deprivation or simply lactic acid still being in the muscle. Those are things you don't want to be limited by if your goal is to reach the maximum amount of tension you can put on your muscles. And the only way to do that is to eliminate all the fatiguing factors, and you can only do that by resting enough in between the sets. Of course, here I always like to do some poses in between some sets, especially when you have a pump. As most of you guys know, I do bodybuilding competitions as a classic physique competitor, and whenever you are on stage, you always pose with a pump, because backstage you warm up with resistance bands, ironically, which a lot of people are bound to train with right now, but that is for pretty much every single pro on a regular competition. You have to use resistance bands to warm up properly. So you normally train the triceps, the biceps, the shoulders, and the chest. At least that's what I do. Then you get a very good pump, and then you pose. So when you pose in the gym with a pump, you kind of see how you look like if you would have been on stage with a pump like that. Anyway, we're moving to the dips, the bodyweight dips with a belt on the ATX belt machine, squat machine, belt squat machine. It's an awesome machine. You can belt squat with it, you can do T-bar rows with it, but also these bodyweight dips. And you can attach, the weight on here, and I put 30 kilos on here. And keep in mind, my own body weight keeps increasing. As of now, I weigh 129 kilograms. I think that's 284 pounds, and that's my heaviest weight I've ever reached. So very soon going to start my prep, by the way, for the Olympia, and the next video you will see will be about that. And what I just did at these dips is first go to failure with the weight, then remove the weight, and then simply do a drop set with the body weight to be able to squeeze out a few more reps to maximize that exercise. And because the dips, the bodyweight dips, are a great stretch exercise, you don't necessarily have to combine them with a dumbbell fly or a cable fly, but I love stretching exercises for the chest because that simply feels very good. It's easy to have a mind-muscle connection there, and it's easy to, isolate the chest with this movement rather than a bodyweight dip, because with the dip you use way more triceps, you use a bit more shoulders compared to the dumbbell flies, which you mainly use the chest for. So it is an isolation movement for the chest, and the way to perform this exercise is you go all the way down until you feel a maximum stretch, and then you go all the way up until you feel that the tension on your chest is starting to disappear. And when you feel it start to disappear, that means because the dumbbells on your arms are straight over each other, and that means the tension is on your joints and not on the muscle anymore. So what you want to do is get used to the range of motion where you feel the tension on your chest, so you don't actually have to think about it every single time. Simply stick to a certain range of motion that you know hits the tension on your chest optimally, and then always use that to go to failure with, because otherwise you might actually cheat and go all the way up, rest the chest and try to cheat that way, and you don't want to risk that, because this exercise, however seemingly innocent, can actually injure yourself, and not the chest, but actually the biceps. And remember, the biceps are not very strong muscles, and Tom Platz back in the day, when doing chest flies like this, actually tore his bicep because, I don't know why, but probably because he went too heavy and then stretched way too deep. So if you don't cheat on the range of motion, you don't have to go as deep because it's already as challenging as it needs to be, and then you don't have to go as heavy to risk yourself injuring anything. And then after finishing the chest off, it's time for the triceps. And you see me wearing these elbow sleeves, and they actually help prevent any elbow pain. And I realize as I've been training heavier and heavier that the joints are simply being pulled on by the tendon a lot more, and that, you know, increases the risk of the joint being hurt. And if you want to prevent that, you want to get some, you know, solid sleeve for your elbows or for your knees, for example, to prevent that from happening. And it just feels safe, it feels supportive, and it just allows you to lift as heavy as you can with good form without having to think about the safety of your joints. As long as your form is good, as long as you're not doing a weight that is excessively heavy, you shouldn't have to worry about the joints if you don't do anything too crazy wearing these elbow sleeves. So the first exercise is kind of a wide/medium grip tricep pushdown, and the wider the grip is, the more on the inside of the tricep will be contracted, and you saw it right there. So the wider the grip, the more the contraction is shifted to the inside. So it always works in the opposite. If my grip was very narrow, then it would go to the outside. The same with the biceps. If you do a very close grip bicep curl, the tension shifts to the outside and you actually work the outside head. And because the inside head, or the long head of the triceps, needs to be bigger, I like to do exercises like that to emphasize the contraction and stretch right there. And this again is one of my favorite exercises right now. You can mimic this, of course, with a dumbbell as well. But I like this because the tension here is constant. Whether you go all the way down or all the way up, you feel the tension the entire time. You can do this either standing or you can do it sitting just against a bench. That removes the tension on your abs if you don't like that. But usually I only feel ab tension too much when I use both hands at the same time, because then you're forced to do a lot of weight, and when you do a lot of weight you need to keep your body upright, and that requires your abs to do a lot of work. So if you ever fall into that trap of you're not able to go as heavy because your abs fail first, then simply do it unilaterally like this. Stick to one arm at a time. Focus on one arm at a time, and preferably start with your weaker side or your smaller side. Go to failure with that one, and then hit the same amount with the stronger side. So you don't have to go to failure with both. Just make sure that the weak side goes to failure first, and then the second side, aka the stronger side, just matches the reps. And that way you can actually fix imbalances in your body. Alright, this is going to be the last set, so I will make a workout split video on Saturday or Sunday, either one of those 2 days. This weekend it will be finished, to tell you guys how my workout split is structured right now. Perhaps it could guide as some kind of inspiration for you if you're not sure if your own workout split is adequate, how to fix weak points, for example. Especially right now, if you don't have access to a full gym, it's the perfect time to think about what kind of workout split you want to start with fresh in the gym once you're able to go again. So don't think because you don't have a gym right now that you can't do anything to improve yourself, because once you can get started, you want to get the best possible start you can, and the only way to do that is to think about how you're going to do it. Anyway guys, I really want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to stay golden.